Now, template strings, or you might call them template literals, are one of my favorite new features. And we already touched upon this a little bit. So imagine you have some kind of template value, and it's going to be HTML, right? So maybe you're building up a block of HTML, and you're going to throw it into the DOM. Or maybe you're using React or Vue.js or something like that. Anyways, yeah, let's say you have like a div with a class of alert, but then within it, you're going to have a paragraph, and then you close it out, and then you're going to have something else, and you kind of want to format this a little better, at the very least just for your own brain, right? But it ends up being kind of a pain. You end up having to do kind of stuff like this, or you might use this kind of backslash bug that a lot of people did in the past. Or one approach that a lot of us used, I did this one quite a bit, is you build up your HTML or your multi-line string as an array. So something like this. So I have my opening div, and then I have my paragraph, and then I have my closing div, and you can even indent it to sort of fake actual HTML, something like that. And then, yeah, you would just implode it with PHP, or with JavaScript, we would say join, using an empty string as the delimiter. So yeah, this is a common approach. I did this all the time. Actually ends up being pretty clean versus some of the alternatives. But now with ES6, yeah, we have template strings, which is really nice. And don't worry, nothing really to learn here. It's very basic. So to start, let's just console.log this and see how it looks. If we view it in Chrome, sure enough, you get your full string there. So now I will remove the array entirely, and we're going to replace it with these backticks here. And think of them just like single quotes. Okay, so on that note, let's get rid of those old single quotes. And there you go. Now we have a multi-line string. There's literally nothing else for you to do. So if I were to come back to Chrome, give it a refresh, there you go. Exactly what you'd want. Now though, what if we did want to reference a value? So for example, maybe foo is dynamic. So we'll say let the name equal foo, and then we want to reference that there. Well, yeah, once again, with the old way, you end up having to use all this string concatenation. So you would say something like p plus the value of name. Yeah, it's just kind of a pain to deal with. Now, with template strings, we can use this familiar syntax right here. All right, come back, refresh, and we still get foo, but we can change that however we need to, and it will update. And actually, on this note, notice how we have some extra space there? That's coming from the space right here. So for example, if I removed that, we would get rid of it. Now, often it doesn't really matter at all, but if it does, just remember you can still call any string methods like you always would. So no problem there. Come back, give it a refresh, and you're still going to get the same thing. So something to keep in mind if it makes sense. Now, one place where I use this all the time is with Vue.js. So if you've gone through that series, if not, I recommend you do at Laracast, or go to vuecast.com. I have an alias domain for that. Highly recommend it. Anyways, you'll often create a Vue instance and set the template. Now, frequently you will reference the template for your component. You might use like a selector and it will hunt that down in the HTML. But another option is just to hard code it. And that is good for simple stuff. So again, for that alert example, you might do something like this. And then once again, foobar, or maybe you accept what the user passes in when they reference the custom element. It doesn't matter. Not important for this. But anyways, what I often do is I will switch that over to template strings and then put this on its own line so that I can format it quite a bit more nicely. Like so. So that's a good practical example of something I do all the time. All right, so that does it. If in the past you were doing things like foo plus bar plus space baz, yeah, you no longer need to do any of that crap. Instead, use the backticks.